In 2009, Carlos Pena and I had one goal, and the goal was 100-100 all the time, every pitch. And that was what translated into a 369 well hit average. And we'll get into how unbelievable that number is in one of the later posts. But 100-100 is basically 100% on time contact with 100% swing efficiency, or in other words, applying the A swing on time. So let's take a look at a couple of these homers. This was early on in the process, and this was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. In the article that we just covered, most of the hard hit contact is happening on slower off-speed pitches. When we look at this thing kind of close, this pitch or this hit is 3/4 of the way up on top of the foul pole. That ball is crushed opposite field, and that's on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, because that's what he was hunting. And then a day or two later, this is a 94-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, and this ball is crushed off the back wall at Tropicana. So the article stated that the highest exit velocities, and I'm not sure you're going to get a whole lot higher than this, because this is really close to 100-100. 100% on time, 100% swing efficiency, and just killed that pitch. This one is probably not exactly 100-100, although he's all over it from a time perspective. I think he missed the sweet spot of the bat just a little bit. That's another factor that's really crucial, although this ball carried a long ways. This one is about a 460 opposite field missile up into the rocks in Anaheim. And this again is a fastball, locked out, pretty good release. We never got to that point where the release was perfect all of the time, but that is really close to 100-100, and it's on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Now granted, there were some swings where he's adjusting. This is a slider at 85 that had a little pop to it. It popped over the line of the fastball. This is a changeup, and he's not quite 100-100, although that ball carries a long ways too. This one is a fastball at 92, but it's on the outside part of the plate. And you can tell that he's reacting to this pitch, and not quite 100-100. But it's a good solid miss, and it leaves the yard. This is a cutter on the inside part of the plate that he's not 100-100 on, but again, this ball's hit a long ways, 20 or 30 rows deep. But you can see the lead arm is bent a little bit. That means that he's drawing his hands in to try to get the barrel to the ball. So he's not 100-100 on that, but it's close. This was a curveball that he's closer to being 100-100 on, and you'll see the lead arm is completely extended on that one, and he kills this pitch. That was in the same game. This was the one that we saw in MLB, and this again is trying to be 100-100, but he was very uncomfortable because this pitch is starting. When you look at this pitch leave his hand, it's starting inward like it's almost going to hit him, and then it works its way back. That's a comebacker fastball. And although this ball is hit really well, it's not quite 100-100 because, again, he's drawn his hands in order to get the fat part of the bat to the inside part of the plate. Still crushed. And he's asking if that's a strike because he can't believe that he just hit that ball out. This one is an elevated fastball that Cecil had gotten Carlos out in the past, but he started hunting this, and this is really close to 100-100. This ball is killed. I don't know what the exit velocity is, but it's going to be up there because this is a upper tank shot. But this is the epitome of 100-100. So when the article states that high exit velocities are not happening on fastballs, that's because hitters are not prepared for that. That's the primary difference between what Carlos and I were doing and what the rest of the world is doing. This is a fastball out over the plate. Again, not quite 100-100 because that's not going to be one of his highest exit velocities. This is a fastball on the outside part of the plate. We'll look at another one in a second. This is a cutter at 89 that's probably adjusted to somewhat and not exactly 100-100. But you'll see the lockout because this is on the low end of what he's trying to be 100-100 on, but still enough to hit out of the yard. This was his 100th ribby that year, and this is an up and in cutter that he crushes, but he's sitting on that. Exit velocity on this is going to be pretty high because he's really close to 100-100 on that. This one I'm going to say is probably one of his highest exit velocities of the year, and it's 94. It is down, so the EV of that pitch is going to be a little bit lower because he's prepared for a pitch at the top of the zone, and this one is a little more out over the plate, so it's kind of a gift. But you can see the complete and utter lockout, really good release on the backside. So this is really close to 100-100. And this just never got high enough to get out of the yard. It was hit too hard and too low. In fact, when we look at the side view of that, you'll see that it's only about 8 degrees away from the pitch. If you watch the pitch come in on this lower line, you see the blur right here, and the ball goes out on this line 8 degrees away from the zero line, 8 degrees away from perfect. And all of the hard hit balls, all of the very hardest hard hit balls are going to happen around 10 degrees or so. So that's a key number to understand when it comes to creating exit speed. We're trying to hit every ball exactly on that zero line. If the ball comes in on this line, we want it to go out on that line. Now that's not possible to do very often, and what happens instead is you get this kind of a miss. 8-10 degree misses are always going to have the highest exit velocities, regardless of whether you hit them high or low. You could miss that same 7 or 8 or 9 degrees downward. Anything in that cone right there, 10 degrees up or 10 degrees down, is going to be the highest exit velocities that are created. And this was something that I discovered in the late 80s. This is not a recent thing. This is a very old concept. When you look at some of these missiles from different angles, you see the arm lock out. This ball is absolutely crushed. This is 100-100. This is one of the few that actually is on the zero line. This pitch comes in on this line, and it goes out on this line. This is the epitome, this is the definition of 100-100. Perfect timing, perfect contact, perfect trajectory. Now granted, Carlos Pena does not want to hit this ball exactly on this line, but if the goal is to hit it on this line, then he's going to hit it on this line every time he misses it, which on average is going to be about 4 out of 10 swings. So every 10 swings that he makes that are close to this line are going to result in a lot of mistakes. There's going to be some balls that he pops up, but his pop-ups are going to be at roughly about, let's just draw a new line in here. The pop-up would be at about 30 or 35, 40 degrees, and that ball's got a chance to leave the yard. The ball that just misses is more like this, and that ball is not even going to be a home run most likely. It might be a line drive missile, But the ball that he really wants is the one that he misses at 20, 25, 30 degrees, and that ball is going to jump off like crazy and is going to have a ton of carry. But the highest exit velocities are going to happen within about 10 degrees of this line, this perfect contact. And that is whether it goes below the line or above the line. So he can hit some ground balls that are within 10 degrees that are still going to be absolute missiles. And that's why you're going to see a lot of exit velocities from guys other than Carlos Pena and other than guys that are hunting pitches. You're going to see almost all of their hard hit balls on off-speed pitches, because the only time they get to the 100% swing efficiency is when they're fooled into it out in front, or if the pitcher throws exactly the pitch that they're the most 100% focused on. And that's usually a low fastball in the case of Chris Davis, Mike Trout. Almost all of their hardest hit balls are going to be on low and or away fastballs, and they're going to be on off-speed pitches. Actually, Trout has made a little bit of an adjustment off of that. We'll talk about that later. But that is 100-100. Let's take a look, though, at a couple more examples of homers. And these are homers on fastballs in later years. This is an elevated 93-mile-an-hour fastball that ends up on the roof at Tropicana. This ball is crushed. But this is 100-100. Him sitting on the top part of the zone, getting it, and absolutely crushing that. So the exit velocity on that is going to be plenty high. And that's a plus fastball. This is 96 and absolutely killed. This is kind of not even a fly ball. This is kind of a high line drive that hits off the back wall. This thing is absolutely killed. But that's on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball that he is completely extended. That's 100-100 on a fastball. So until we've measured all of these exit velocities, all of the exit velocities off of pitches that are hit on purpose as opposed to an accident, then we don't really know. We can't really say that it's proven. 92, 100-100. This one's only 90, but this ball is killed. This ball goes to place that not very many people reach. Way up on top of technology solution. But again, full extension, on time, actually tiny bit early to that, because that's an outside fastball, and for him to crush it 100% on time, he would have to hit that to left center. But because he's geared to a faster speed, he's locked out completely because he's a little bit early. So this 90-mile-an-hour fastball, when a guy like Homer Bailey's throwing 95, 96, this is actually an off-speed pitch. This is the equivalent of Stanton hitting an 83-mile-an-hour EV pitch when he's sitting on 85. This ball's crushed because this is, in essence, an off-speed pitch when you're sitting on the fastest pitch that a guy has to offer. This is 95 off of Pelfrey. Killed. Fastball, top of the zone, 94. Killed. A.J. Burnett. And this was really amazing because the wind was blowing in like crazy. There were gusts blowing straight in his face, and this ball was into the wind. But again, completely 100-100. Zach Greinke, top of the zone fastball, 100-100. Edinson Volquez, fastball in, 94 miles an hour, so at least an EV of 97. And this ball is 100, 100. CC Sabathia up and away at 94. Pretty close to 100, 100. Ball's killed. Grand slam. Hughes, elevated fastball, 93. Crushed. Line drive that just barely gets out because it's hit too low. So until you look at all of the exit velocities on all of the fastballs, and then on all of the off-speed pitches, and understand what's going on, we can't really make that statement that lower velocities are creating all of the high exit velocities.